This practice at Sun Kyeong is a way for us to connect with our spirit and with the mind of the universe. So if you think of the mind of the universe like the sun, it's constantly shining and it's constantly giving. And it's giving light for our spirit, love for our mind and heart, and energy for our body. And then our spirit is actually a mini version of the mind of the universe. So it's also meant to be giving to other people and receiving from the mind of the universe. So in our best state as human beings, we're givers and receivers. But what's happening a lot in the world today is that we don't know how to connect. We don't know how to connect to the main power generator if we were the light bulb. So this disconnection is causing a lot of problems, because if you stop receiving what you need, when we're a baby, we have to receive the milk from our mother, right? Or from somewhere. And if you stop receiving that, then we gradually lose our energy, we lose our light, we lose the love, and then we're trying to give from an empty place. So many people are like that in this world. I was the same before I found this practice. So this practice is really born in this period of time to help people realize who we are, that we are spirit, mind and body, and make this connection much more strong and much more powerful, so that from this place of connection we can do what we need to do, give what we need to give, and be the best versions of ourselves. So the practice has sort of two sides: the treatments and the classes, and the ancestor healing, which I'm going to talk about today. The treatments are a way to receive the vibration very directly through the master or the practitioner giving the vibration from the mind of the universe to open up the whole energy system and allow the energy to flow, so that you can release physical pain, you can release negative emotions, and you begin to recharge your energy battery, which is in the lower belly. So after a course of treatments, often people feel lighter and clearer and free from pain, or so much happier. And that's helping, and that really works on a deep level. And the key classes that we do also support this, and they help people to make their own connection, cultivate their mind, learn how to receive and give naturally. And these two things are really valuable for like daily practice, weekly practice, to stay connected. But what we find is that the root of so many people's problems is lying in what's been inherited from family, what's been inherited from those that have passed away, who we call ancestors. And I think at the moment a lot of people are becoming more aware of the impact of ancestors. So in science they call it epigenetics, which is the theory that we have the same trauma and we relive the same emotions and the same thought patterns and the same pain as our ancestors. And in this practice it's a step further, in that we are actually with our ancestors. So we need to bring it back a little bit to life and death. If you imagine that we are spirit, mind and body, then when we leave this life, the body goes away. It's recycled by the earth, or something is happening to the body and we leave it. And most people know when they're with someone who's dying, the spirit, it's gone, you know, it's just a body now. But the spirit and the mind continue. So our spirit and our mind are eternal. And then that's why what's so important is how bright our spirit is and the state of our mind when we leave this world. So if you think to our ancestors, of course there's those that we know, maybe parents and grandparents or great-grandparents, but we also have many other ancestors, many of which we don't know. All of those ancestors have a mind and a spirit that are fixed at the end of their life, and some of them are in a slightly brighter place and some of them in a slightly heavier place, depending on what they created, what they did during their life. So then if you imagine when our spirit, our own spirit, comes to this world, we are matched with our family and our ancestors according to the vibration of what our own spirit has been through in previous lifetimes and what our ancestors have been through. So most people, when they come to our practice and they're interested in ancestor healing, it's because there's a certain level of brightness of their spirit that has an understanding about the invisible world. So we talk a lot about the invisible and the physical world. And in our society now, especially in the West, we know a lot about the physical world. We trust the physical world. I can touch my body, I can touch the floor and this chair. And we don't often believe so much in the invisible world. But in my experience and in the experience of many people with this work, it is just as real and probably more important, because everything starts from something invisible. Energy is invisible. Our organs, we don't see them, but we know they're there, you know. There's many things we know exist, but they're not there. They're not visible. So when we talk about ancestors, they are invisible beings that are with us, that have a spirit and a mind and a vibration. So vibration is so important. And there are many different vibrations. There's when you listen to classical music, let's say, it's quite a high vibration. It's quite soothing usually, and it's quite melodic. And then sometimes harsh sounds, or we know it's quite a heavy vibration, or traffic noise, or whatever it is. But there's also many invisible vibrations that don't have sound that are affecting us every single moment. And we know this, for example, if we have a cup of water and we play music, different music, or we have different sounds, the water vibrates. So then you imagine the human body, we are 70% water. We actually match the earth, which is also 70% water, and we're constantly responding to the vibrations around us. And that is why when you go to a certain place, sometimes you feel, oh, I like this place, it feels bright and happy, and sometimes you feel, oh, this house is haunted, or it feels heavy. And it's because the vibration of a place and also a person is depending on the history, and we say the karma of that place or that person. So whatever has happened in that place determines what the energy is like. We know that sometimes when we feel that a house is haunted, but with people we're not so aware of it. But we are made of our ancestors. So if you imagine a tree, the ancestors are the root, we are the trunk, and then our descendants our children are the fruit. And the roots of the tree are the most important part to be healthy and strong, so that everything else can flourish. So many cultures know about this and have a practice to respect ancestors. And this practice goes one step further in that it doesn't only show respect to ancestors, but it's healing the spirits of the ancestors and enabling them to go to what we call the world of light with Ancestor Healing. So it's an incredible gift, actually, that we've been given, that we can help so many people, living people, and also the ancestors, many that have passed away. So if you imagine the ancestors are the root, or let's say the foundation has to be clean and strong and healthy before anything else can happen. So on a kind of personal level, let's say, I meet many clients that have problems, and they're trying their best to change their problems. Maybe it's depression, maybe it's anxiety, maybe it's pain in their body, maybe it's just a situation in their life that keeps repeating, like a pattern, like a relationship pattern or a work pattern or a certain blockage. And they're trying everything, and they're working on themselves, and they're doing everything they can to change themselves. And many times they come to me and say, I just feel like I'm stuck in a cycle and I can't change it. So this is when it's often deeply karmic. So karma is literally patterns that have been created. And we have two sets of karma when we come to this world. We have the karma from our ancestors, so those in our family that have passed away. And everything that they have created, good and bad, is affecting us. And it's almost like they are a part of us. We're one family and we're one team. So often all the thinking, the emotions, the behavioral patterns, the success, the fortune, the talent, good and bad karma, we are receiving from our ancestors. The other side is the karma of our own spirit, which has also been through many lifetimes and then is matched with our family and ancestors when we come to this world. And we're in a period of time in the universe where so much is kind of building up. And we can see when we look around this world, the karma, the darkness, the things that human beings are doing that doesn't seem right, or that we know isn't natural, and what we're doing to the earth and what we're doing to each other and the wars. It's not our natural state, in my belief. Our natural state is generous and loving and warm and kind and open and giving. So we're meant to be receivers from the mind of the universe and givers. But if we don't know how to receive, and if we don't know where we come from, and if we don't know that we're carrying karma that needs to be cleared, it's very difficult to be the best versions of ourselves, to be clean and pure and open, and not to be affected by the vibration of those that have passed away. If someone is a very sensitive person, normally they get more affected by the energy of ancestors. And even people that aren't so sensitive are often affected by ancestors. It's just that they don't know it, or they might not have so many symptoms. But if you imagine that when you come to this world, all your ancestors are with you, and we have thousands of ancestors for good and bad, then their energy is like tuning to you. So you come to this world as a spirit with your own karma and your own brightness. And your spirit is given by the mind of the universe, the source of life. But your body is given by your ancestors. And then in your body, even when you come to this world, I would say like a pre-programmed software. And that is the karma, that is the good and bad. The way the software is working in your life determines how you live your life. And if you're a little bit aware and brighter, sometimes you can change your karma a little bit through your action. That's the blessing of having a physical body. But the karma is very, very deep. The program that's been set is very deep. So a lot of people arrive at a point in their life where they, like I said, they feel, oh gosh, I'm hitting the same patterns. Personally, my pattern was pushing myself to, like in a self-destructive way, pushing myself to collapse, pushing myself to not function, to be sick, again and again and again. And even when I received more energy and felt better from the treatments and classes, I then pushed myself again, to the point where I realized this is now, I can't stop this. It's going again and again and again. So when I realized that, and when I read about Ancestor Healing, I read this booklet and I had no idea about ancestors, and I had no idea about anything invisible. I knew something existed that was guiding my life, but that was kind of it. I started crying, and I believe it was also my ancestors very grateful that I'd found this practice. But to me, it began to make sense. These things, these constant thought patterns and unnecessary thinking, and thinking that is draining my energy, because I had almost chronic fatigue and digestive problems and so many problems. Maybe it's not only my own, maybe I'm carrying it from those that have passed away. And when I began the Ancestor Healing myself, every week during the Ancestor Healing, I felt a load lighten, a weight lift, more and more and more. And then at the end, really starting to feel, now I am me. Now I am who I am, which I'd never felt before. And it felt really kind of different, but beautiful and clear. And the vibration of my mind, which was very fast and I would say out of control and chaotic, went to a much more peaceful place. And then my body began to heal, and then I began to attract better relationships, better jobs. So we have to change the vibration inside of us. And if we begin to realize that that vibration is very much dictated by the vibration of our ancestors, then we start to take the action to really begin to change in a deeper way. So people, the other point is that ancestors are very much like people. They just don't have a body, they have a mind and a spirit. So they are all different vibrations, and some of them try to guide us with their light, and some of them have had more pain and trauma. So if you think of what your family members might have been through, and a lot of the time we don't even know, that vibration from the ancestors, whether it's bright or heavy, is tuning to us. And normally we don't really feel the light vibration because it's kind of invisible, but we feel the heavy vibration, and then that's what causes problems. Or maybe we don't have, maybe it's very subtle, but we just have a feeling that we need to do something or change something or make a new start in our life. So many people come to us and they do the Ancestor Healing, and of course it takes a big mind and a mind of trust because we're working with the invisible world. But the changes and the realizations and the kind of stripping away of the layers of karma, and we see it in people's faces, is absolutely incredible. And what we do for ancestors in Ancestor Healing is for eternal life. It's forever and it's never taken away. So the Ancestor Healing course that we do is 3 weeks long, usually. There is a version where we can do it with Master O, the pioneer of this practice, in 1 day. And with Ancestor Healing, it's a practice where you are receiving light and energy for your ancestors through a process of 4 ceremonies and daily chanting. And it's a method given by the mind of the universe to say, okay, I allow ancestors to be with the descendant for this period of time, to use the mind and the body of their descendant to release what they need to release, and for the descendant to receive the really bright light and powerful energy for the ancestors. So it's like a big cleaning or detox, or almost like going to school for ancestors to learn how they should behave and how they should follow what we call the law of nature, the way that we should live our life. Of course, it all sounds very like, how is this tangible? But the experiences that people have during Ancestor Healing is what makes people understand what it is. It's not something that can be rationalized. It's not something that can always be understood fully before you do it. When people start it, they begin to realize what they're doing, or they have a feeling, I think this is what I need to do. So it's, in my opinion, it's a beautiful gift that's been given by the mind of the universe. In this period of time right now, I would say I've been doing this for 8 years, and I feel a huge difference in when I used to help and support people do Ancestor Healing to now. It feels more urgent. Ancestors are more active. Ancestors are more ready and awake to try and get their descendant to heal the family. So everything is, first of all, everything that we are dealing with is fair because it's what we've created before. It's what ancestors have created before, and it's what we've created before. But rather than getting bogged down or sort of swamped by our karma, this practice gives us a way through that. And not only to help the ancestors, which is one of the biggest reasons to do Ancestor Healing. Of course, people also do it to help themselves or help their children or help their parents. But really, we are helping thousands of lives during Ancestor Healing. But also after the Ancestor Healing finishes, then the real spiritual journey begins, because then we start to clean the foundation, clean the soil, and from there the new life grows. So then we, usually when people do it, the life starts to take either a better path or the path it's meant to take, or things dramatically change. The process is deep and profound and steady. So it's never wise to expect a miracle immediately. Some people do have immediate changes, but normally what happens is the karma is healed during Ancestor Healing, and then the changes take place over weeks and months, and then you start to look back and realize how different things are. The reason I became a master is because of Ancestor Healing, because it changed my life, it changed my happiness, it changed my understanding of the invisible world, it changed my health, and I saw differences in my family. I went from, my father's now passed away, but I went from, he was alive when I did Ancestor Healing, and we went from fighting a lot to not having one argument after we did Ancestor Healing. We can't promise that Ancestor Healing changes someone's family members, because they also have their own spirit and their own mind and their own karma. But what it does do is it lifts the weight from the whole family. And so if someone wants to change more, they can after Ancestor Healing. So I feel very, very lucky that we have this practice. And I think for most people, they take the step to do Ancestor Healing when it just, there's a feeling in their heart that they want to do it, or they should do it, or it feels the right thing to do. And then through doing it, you kind of begin to understand what it is. But when we understand the invisible world, we realize that this physical life now is the biggest gift we can ever be given, because rather than like our ancestors who can't change their state, we are in a period of time where every action we take, we can either create light or darkness, and everything we can do with our physical body is an opportunity to do something, brighten our spirit, help our family. So this practice as a whole is here in this period of time to help people to do that, to help people to reconnect with the source of life, reconnect with our spirit, clear the karma of those that have passed away, and from there brighten and go to a higher vibration so that we can share with others and be the natural receivers and givers that we're meant to be. I'll give you one final example of how karma manifests in people. So often it is patterns. Sometimes it's like literally a physical problem that an ancestor had that is repeated in the descendant. And sometimes it is a behavioral pattern, a problem like a blockage with work or with wealth and abundance, or a blockage in relationships, constantly going after the wrong relationships. And if you imagine that everything we are dealing with, we have inherited from those that have passed away. And so even though we try our best to change ourselves, the karma is a bit like sometimes like a brick wall. So you imagine it's like something really strong, but you have the fire and the light from the mind of the universe. It's like melting the karma during ancestor healing. Many things like addictions, or on one of the darkest things like suicide, is a pattern from ancestors. So if someone is alive, we say a descendant, and they are doing okay, and someone in the family dies, let's say the grandson and the grandfather passes away, and the grandson starts to have stress at work and starts to drink, and the grandfather was an alcoholic, then what can happen is the grandfather's spirit can begin to connect more with the grandson when he starts to have a drink. So that pattern becomes not just the pattern of the grandson, but a pattern from the ancestors, the grandfather, and possibly other ancestors that also had the same problem. I remember having a similar problem where, in my early life, drinking and not being able to be in control. And I had grandfathers that had been alcoholics and things. So we don't realize how much we are being affected by the emotions, the behavioral patterns, and the thoughts of our ancestors. And it's not all bad. Of course, they guide us for our fortune and for our talent and, everything we are made from our ancestors. But in this period of time, unfortunately, ancestors are not in the place they need to be, which we call the world of light. They're in a place which we call the spirit world, which is basically living amongst us. So many of them here on this earth at this time. Some people, they're very aware of that, they feel it. Some people, we have no idea. I had no idea when I found this practice. But it's a very, in my opinion, it's so real, because I now feel the vibration of ancestors. I feel the vibration, the pure vibration from the mind of the universe, and I feel the vibration of someone's spirit. And so I really have a passion to help someone connect more with the vibration of the mind of the universe and more with their spirit. And so ancestor healing is the way not only to help those that have passed away, but to grow your own connection and grow your own light so that you can become who you really are, and not only kind of carrying this load from your family. So really, ancestor healing is if you have the opportunity to do it, if your ancestors guide you to do it, it's like you're taking on the responsibility for the family. And sometimes people think, oh, why do I have to be the one to do it? Or why are ancestors affecting me? But actually, normally after people go through it, they say, wow, yeah, what a gift. I'm so happy that I can do this and help my family. So it's a little bit to help you know more about ancestor healing. And of course, you can come and talk to any of us. The actual practical part is 3 weeks, and we do a ceremony each week, and we do chanting in between the ceremonies. And you can do it with the center in person. You can also do it online. So there's many ways. It's very profound and very heart-opening practice.